A man worked for 35 years in the civil service. And when he retired, the money, the gratuity they paid him, he was driving home when he went to collect his money. And he gave a young man lift. A young man who just finished NYSC, but he has chewed some things. And the young man spoke to this man that have 35 years of service. And this man with 35 years experience handed over his gratuity to this boy. And the boy disappeared. When the power of deception comes, even experience is dwarfed. There's something happening now. So the devil uses deception to enslave men, to blind men, and to put men to sleep. So some people are highly deceived and deluded. They don't even know. They think what they are doing is so wise, and every other person is looking at them and wondering, why are you doing this thing? They are now assuming that, oh, people don't understand us. Nobody understands us. But don't worry, time shall tell. Time is the reason why you will never be delivered. Who told you time changes anything? Time does not change anything. Time only reveals everything. And time will reveal your foolishness. And at that point, you may have gone past redemption. Deception is one of the things the devil uses to enslave men. In Colossians chapter 2 verse 8, he said, beware lest anyone spoil you with philosophies, vain deceit, after the traditions of men and not after Christ. People will come and tell you things that sound very high and powerful, but there is no substance in it. He said the greatest wisdom on earth is Christ and his principles. If it doesn't have to do with Christ and his principles, it is destruction. See, some people today, they get jobs, and the first thing they teach them on the job is how to manipulate figures. You are working in the bank or in the oil company. Come on, what are you talking about? Add 1 0 to the receipt, and every weekend you can make extra 100,000, and the person discovers how to make money. So he has 200 receipts in a week. He's adding 1 0 to all of them, adding 1 0, and then every week he has 100,000. He begins to spend it, and life is good. After 20 years, judgment will now come, and when the judgment comes, the last 20 years of deceit will just go down the drain. And God will be watching. He will be wondering, why did his life end like this? He didn't know that it took 20 years to set him up. He thinks adding 1 0 and making 100,000 every week is a smart way of making money. And his life becomes a pain and a burden because he was deceived. He said, be careful. Don't allow men use their ways to lead you astray from God. It's deception. It will keep you blinded for a lifetime. Ephesians 5 verse 6, it said, let no man deceive you with words. It said, these things provoke the wrath of God. The reason many people, God himself can't help them, is because they have gone away from God based on what men told them. So the first thing the devil uses to blind men is deception. But when you mature and you are awoken, deception can no longer affect you. In Ephesians 4:14, it said this kind of people, they are not tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. They have gained stability because now they are awake to the truth of God. If I ask you now, in your business, what is the principle of God you are applying? You'll be shocked that there's no one. If I ask you now, in your family, what is the principle of God you are applying? You'll be shocked that there's no one. If I ask you now, in your marriage, what is the principle of God you are applying? You'll be shocked that there's no one. If I ask you now, in the training of your children, what is the principle of God you are applying? There's no one. And you are wondering why children just die, marriages just crash, business is just shut down. Because there's no foundation standing on. Thank God for what you learned from your master. But your master is an occultic person. And he didn't tell you the shrines he went to before he started that tire business. You now came with tire, you started tire business. You say, I have learned for 7 years. And you learned only the things your master showed you. And you don't know that at the foundation of what your master is doing is a sacrifice he gives in every December. and then you do your business after 5 years, it's wrecked. If you are not even careful, the favor that you had in doing your business is channeled to your master. The moment he releases you, you leave that favor behind, because there's no foundation for that business. If you become wise, every aspect of your life, there will be a spiritual principle that you run that business on. And even those who are in the other side, they know. There are some men today who do business in the Islamic world. The business is built on charity, because a spirit whispered to them that every time you make a gain, take 10%, go and give it to the poor. And there are some analogies today that they hire beggars, they pay beggars. You know what the beggars do? They go out. When they beg, all the money they get from begging, they don't spend it. They bring it to the Alhaji, and the Alhaji takes the money, goes to his altar, and is trying to take the luck of the goodwill of the people who gave to those beggars. And then he pays the beggars. So begging is a job, but it's a means of changing the stars of men through astrology. And you don't know. And then you look at that and you say, all of us are in cement business. Who told you cement what? It is the goodwill and the fortune of people that business is riding on. And that's why that business will be a household name. You don't know why. Because everybody and anybody gives to those beggars, his business can penetrate every corridor. It's a wisdom he's working with. If you like, enter that business with him, you can never be his competitor. Because it's beyond talking. There's a mystery. You also, as a spiritual man, there must be a mystery and a principle from the word of God that every aspect of your life rests on. There are certain families that God told them, when you wake up in the morning, let the whole family hold hands together and thank me. So long as they are doing that, nobody will die. So long as they are doing that, no destiny will be wrecked. That is what God showed them. It doesn't mean every family must wake up and hold hands and pray. No. If you do it, it's good as a principle. But you must have what God gave you. There are other families that God tells them at the end of the month, all of you must go to the altar and lie down and honor me. And so as they are doing it, nobody can die suddenly. Nobody can fail. It's a mystery. That's why that family is prospering. You are looking at that family and you are assuming if all of us are speaking English, things will go well. Spirits don't speak English. They speak power. And power is a mystery. That's how these things work. But if you don't know it, you will allow the deception of what you are seeing on the social media. Somebody comes, clean one part of his house, sit down and say life is well. These are some of the principles I'm applying. I do this, I do this. You now will carry your real life and you are trying to pattern it after a fake presentation. And you think your life will end up like that. You see some families, they write a script and they are leaving it. Leaving a script. When they leave the screen, they go back and live their real life. You are trying to play that script. Some people watch a movie and they see what was written, scripted and acted, and they are trying to live their life like a movie. And then when the spirits that didn't participate in the movie now show up, you will now discover there's a difference between reality and film. Don't allow your life function by deception. There must be a principle, a divine principle you live by, because the devil will use deception to wreck men. Number 2 weapon the devil uses is lust. There's lust in the soul of many people because they have not conquered it. And I've talked about it briefly when I spoke about desires. Number 3 is distractions and the cares of this life. I can tell you why many people cannot go far. It's because of the cares of this life. In Mark 4:19, Jesus was speaking about men that the word of God does not impact. And he gave us 3 categories of men. He says some are deceived by riches. He said others are deceived by lust. And he said others are deceived by the cares of this life. This one is very, very dicey. You know why? The cares of this life are legitimate concerns. But if you are not careful, they will become the reason why you never know God. Hope you know, pay your house, pay your children's school fees is a legitimate concern. Buying food to eat is a legitimate concern. Getting clothes to wear is a legitimate concern. But if you allow house rent bring anxiety into your soul, a point will come where you will do anything to pay house rent. And at that point, the devil will come in and begin to suggest to you. In Lagos here, there are people who kill for as little as 5,000 naira. And you ask them, they say they need to wear clothes. They need to eat food. And so they can take human life for 5,000. Sometimes I stumble on certain cases in Nigeria and I'm wondering, they catch somebody with human head and they ask him, how much did they pay you? He say 20,000. So you can go and cut somebody's head because of 20,000. 20,000. You cut somebody's head. Why was your conscience not pricked when the person was begging? How come you are able to carry out this wickedness because of 20,000? Some people, it's even 5,000 they get from it. And they kill a human. You know why? They cares of this life. They needed house rent. They needed clothes. And they didn't come to learn principles. They didn't go the way of walking with their hands. They allowed the devil come in to manipulate them. And so a point will come, anxiety will drive you to a point where you can do anything. Do you know that in Lagos here, there are ladies who are camped, who go out every night to prostitute, to get money so that they can feed and pay for the same house rent where they are staying to prostitute. And then you ask them, they say, I have nobody to take care of me. Why didn't you go and learn how to weave? Why didn't you go and learn? Does it take anything to plait hair? Do you need a master's degree to plait hair? Why don't you go and meet somebody who plaits hair and learn how to plait and begin to plait hair? Raise some capital and start selling something. Why do you have to go the way of prostitution? Because a devil came in and whispered something and she saw it as an easy way out. And that lady lives in prostitution for 10 years. She thinks she's doing it in the night and hiding. You can hide from men, not spirits. And in 10 years, she slept with more than 2,000 men. Do you know the baggage all these men carry? The Bible said, whoever you join your body with, you have become one with that person. Some of them have curses. Some of them are packed with demons. Some of them are involved in different kinds of evil. All of that now is in you. How can your life count? So you didn't prostitute your way into life. You prostituted yourself into death. Does that mean we should be insensitive to these people? No. There are many people who don't know much. There are many people who are truly defeated in life. But if you allow the cares of this life make you turn away from God and do anything to survive, you are in trouble. There are many young men who are dissatisfied. They keep telling you, look at me, I'm 35. I can't even feed myself. I can't take care of anybody. I will do anything it takes. Anything it takes. Do you know the meaning of what you have said? And then tomorrow, the devil leads somebody to them and asks them, are you sure you do anything? They say, I will do anything. Anything. Do you know the meaning of anything? And they say, okay, think about it. If by tomorrow you want to do anything, call me. And they foolishly say they want to do anything until they carry them to a shrine. And the first thing they see as anything is to kill their mother. And at that point, you can't change your mind and go back. You have crossed the point of no return. If you go back, you become mad. If you go back, you die. And so you see somebody kill his mother so that he can have money to buy a car. So he trades his mother for a car. He trades his mother for a house. He trades his mother for what he calls a good life. And from that day, his life becomes an endless stream of frustration. The reason is because he allowed the cares of this life to become a weapon the devil uses to destroy him. Listen, the cares of this life are important. But if you are not careful, the devil will use it to put you to death and to sleep forever. There are certain things you do, unless Jesus himself encounters you, you may never come out of it. The fourth weapon the devil uses is the weapon of sin and iniquity.